Hi friends, today in reading we are going to be reading from our American Trailblazers book. We are going to read page 145 and we're going to read about Sacagawea, and this is a picture. Sacagawea was an interpreter and a guide. She was born May 1788 and she died on December 20th, 1812. Sacagawea was born in what is now the state of Idaho. During her lifetime, the area was a colony of Spain and then of France, and finally became part of the United States. A river ran through the valley where she was born. Her father was the chief of a small Shoshone tribe whose name, Agadaka, means salmon eaters. Her family moved often. They lived in teepees and they ate the plants they gathered and the animals they hunted. Sacagawea was familiar with these Shoshone lands and waterways, and at the age of 12, Sacagawea, she was kidnapped while she was with a small group hunting buffalo. Later, she was sold to a French-Canadian fur trader to be one of his wives. A few years after that, two explorers by the name of Meriwether Lewis and William Clark hired the fur trader to be their guide. They said he must bring Sacagawea to be an interpreter on their trip. Lewis and Clark had been sent by President Thomas Jefferson to map the lands purchased from France in 1803 in what was known as the Louisiana Purchase. These lands were west of the Mississippi River and doubled the size of the United States. Jefferson hoped Lewis and Clark would find rivers connecting the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean. Sacagawea was the only woman on this expedition, and she worked for 2 years without pay. And she carried her baby on her back. Lewis and Clark believed that Sacagawea, a Shoshone, would be useful in dealing with the Shoshone people who lived in the territory, which she was. And as they traveled through Shoshone lands, it was the first time many of the native people had ever seen white men. Lewis and Clark also hoped that when natives saw a woman and baby in their group, they would know that the expedition was not interested in war. And in this way, Sacagawea and her baby protected a group of male foreigners that were armed with guns. It was a difficult journey, and while Sacagawea did not lead the group, she helped them to survive. And when their boat nearly capsized and others panicked, she rescued instruments, supplies, and documents because she was used to being in that area, in that land. She made decisions about which path to take as they traveled by land. And once, when they met a group of Shoshone and began to trade for horses, Sacagawea recognized their chief. And you know who it was? It ended up being her brother. It was a joyful reunion. They were so happy to see each other. And her brother also provided some horses and guides to help them through the Rocky Mountains. She also gathered edible plants to feed the members of the expedition and located medicinal plants to treat them when they were ill. Her intelligence and her courage helped make a very dangerous expedition a success. Now, this is a quote from Sacagawea. And it reads, "I have traveled a long way with you to see the great waters, Pacific Ocean." Now here, this is an interesting fact. The name Sacagawea means bird woman and boat puller. So now, I'm going to ask you a question. If you could give yourself a name to describe you, what would it be? Well, guys, think about that, and whoever reads with you, maybe they can help you think of what you would call yourself to describe you. Okay, until next time in reading. Bye, guys.